What's up, Wastelanders? Let's talk about the newest Pip-Boy coming into the Pip-Boy family. Shipped from Vault-Tec, no, not really, shipped from the One Company with this awesome Vault-Tec packaging tape. The pre-orders for this bad boy were available around a year ago, and they have finally been shipped and just now received. So I'm totally excited to share this with you and check out what the Fallout diecast replica of the Pip-Boy 3000 Mark V, as seen in the Fallout Amazon Prime TV show, has to offer. This isn't going to be a typical unboxing video, maybe more of a review for the new Pip-Boy to just share as much as possible about it for those who did not get one or are thinking of getting one later if available. I do want to briefly discuss the packaging. Yes, shipped in a cardboard box, but it was fun to receive this package solely to find the Vault-Tec packaging tape wrapped across the top, which just popped so much. Sharing this across my socials, I had a laugh that so many others within my circles got a kick out of it too. I instantly knew what awaited me. The box did appear to have some minor damage that, oddly enough, others had expressed to have received the same amount of damage and roughly in the similar areas of their packages. I just had to open it before recording to make sure that the actual contents didn't sustain any further harm. To my surprise, the package was tightly packed but came with this inner sleeve that made removing the contents so much easier and shows the amount of care that was placed here. Luckily, there was enough protection inside to keep the Pip-Boy and its product box safe from the minimal harm it had received on the outside during transit. The box for the Pip-Boy itself is rather nicely designed in color and with its Fallout, Vault-Tec, Pip-Boy, and Robco labeling. Inside, we quickly find the operating manual with a shell that is securely holding the Pip-Boy itself. And after removing and opening the shell, we find the contents to be one USB-C cable, the Pip-Boy display stand, and the Pip-Boy 3000 Mark V diecast replica. Before we take a slow screen-by-screen deep dive into the Pip-Boy, let's quickly review the following sections of the operating manual to go over some of the features and details that you may otherwise miss if you just eagerly jump into playing with the device straight away, like I did. I won't go into every detail, but there is a great amount of information here that will help you be that much more familiar with it and to help you take care of your Pip-Boy better. It also makes for a great basis as a general overview for this video. So get your arm ready, you're gonna need it. This Pip-Boy 3000 Mark V is more than just a replica. It's a portal to the captivating world of post-apocalyptic survival. So limber up, get your arm out, and lean in, Vault Dweller. It's time to prepare for a wasteland experience like never before. The Pip-Boy 3000 Mark V replica is made with a mix of die-cast zinc and engineering-grade ABS, then finished with hand-distressed silver paint. You'll enjoy all it has to offer via its 3.5-inch or 320 by 480 TFT LCD water-clear Triton display, along with any audio through its 2-watt speaker. You'll wear this comfortably on your arm due to the soft-grade coal-cast fabric-coated polyurethane cuff lining, or proudly show it off by displaying it on the sandblasted laser-etched machine display stand, formed from a solid sheet of aluminum. The docking arm is ABS, and the base is layered with a soft EVA coating to protect and keep secure on any surface it's placed on. It's recommended to charge the Pip-Boy for 5 hours or until full before its first use, and to do so while on its stand. It's also recommended to charge the Pip-Boy when it reaches a 20% charge. This is done through the USB-C port dongle connected to any 5-watt powered USB socket. The power level is represented by the status bar located at the bottom center of the screen. A powered down, not charging Pip-Boy will enter hibernation mode and can last approximately 6 months if it has previously been fully charged. When powered on, a full charge can typically last about 8 hours of screen time, or 4 hours of screen time with the radio playing before needing to be recharged. These stats of course will vary depending on several factors like screen brightness, volume, and other external factors. Turning the Pip-Boy on and off is controlled by long pressing the power button located at the bottom of the device. Short pressing the power button while powered on will turn the screen off and can be used to conserve power much like a sleep mode. If running on internal power, the Pip-Boy will also naturally time out to enter this sleep mode after 5 minutes. You can also change the time for the timeout in the maintenance screen options. Timeout will not occur if the Pip-Boy is plugged into a power source. This section doesn't really provide any new information that one wouldn't be able to figure out on their own, but I would say should still be read because the tips provided in sections like this will maximize your care for the device. Basically here, it describes the safest method of clasping it onto your arm to avoid any unwanted accidents and damage, like dropping it. After all, this Pip-Boy does have 1.4 pounds of weight to it. This section explains the best and safest method is sitting down somewhere comfortably and resting the Pip-Boy screen downward onto your lap, taking care not to scratch your screen, and with the clasp open. You can then place your left arm in and then carefully close the clasp with your right hand, making sure that the one half fits under the other without pinching your arm to secure the locking catch. If by chance it's loose on your arm, it does mention to slide it further up your arm or to wear it over an article of clothing. Another section with nothing overly difficult but still full of good to know tips. This just goes over how to display your Pip-Boy by securely placing it on the display stand. This is done by unplugging the USB-C dongle from the Pip-Boy, rotating the Pip-Boy upwards to slide the USB-C dongle recess onto the stand's docking arm. Then carefully rotate the Pip-Boy back downward so that its own weight securely rests against the stand's docking arm. The USB-C dongle can then be inserted into the designated port on the stand. It's recommended that the mount and Pip-Boy both be held securely with both hands when moving it around. This is a section I think most of us Fallout players could easily figure out, so I'll try not to spend too much time here. Here it basically describes how to use the mode selector to change the various what I call main tabs or main screens, which are also labeled by the knob. This just has a simple rotate function. Next you have the rolling thumb wheel that is used to scroll through the sub tabs or sub screens. This also just has a simple rotate function, much like the scroll wheel on your computer mouse. The rotary knob button on the left side of the Pip-Boy is mostly used to scroll through any of the possible screen animations and to make your selections. This has a rotary function as well as a button press function. This is mentioned in its own section of the operation manual, but I'll add it here. The volume for the radio and other audio clips can be controlled via a small rotary dial located just under the rads and radio meter. Lastly, the radio knob is used to turn the radio on and off by pressing it like a button, but can also be rotated upward or downward until a click is felt at either endpoint to scan for radio stations. This is also spring-loaded and will return to center if you let go. This Pip-Boy has a number of settings that can be changed on the maintenance screen, like setting the clock, the alarm, or changing the timeout timing as previously mentioned, among a few other things. Though I didn't find a need to change anything here, I still think it's good to check out this area to familiarize yourself with what's available. Whether on internal power or plugged in, the Pip-Boy has a demo mode that will cycle through a number of its various animated screens. Demo mode is one of the many options that is also found among other settings on the maintenance screen. There's nothing major here for this section worth noting, other than it's probably nice to know that while in demo mode, all of the Pip-Boy buttons and knobs, with the exception of the power button, are disabled. To exit demo mode, you simply just short press the power button. If you've ever set the clock on your microwave, stove, or in your car, then I think you'll be okay if we just skip this section. Though I guess it is nice to know that you can switch between 12-hour and 24-hour display, and it can also be viewed vertically or horizontally. Actually, here's a tip. Maybe don't tell the Brotherhood that you know how to do this, or they may try to recruit you as one of their scribes. Unless that's what you want, I don't know. This is yet another area that's not overly difficult, but there are some neat features here. There are several options that can be set for the alarm sound. This includes any local radio station found via the FM radio tuner, a few preset sounds, and 2 versions of Time to Get Up if the Pip-Boy has been updated. When an alarm is set, it's displayed on screen on the right-hand side of the bottom information bar along with a bell icon to show that the alarm is active. Oddly enough, though the operation manual only explains that this can be set via the maintenance setting options, I discovered that the display brightness can also be changed if you long press the flashlight button. Though to be fair, I found it a lot more difficult to control via this method, but either way, a nice feature should you want to change this to conserve battery life or to imbue your viewing depending on the conditions of your environment. What would a Pip-Boy be without a flashlight function to illuminate your path to greatness? With this dedicated flashlight button, you can operate this feature by simply short pressing this button. Easily one of my favorite features on this Pip-Boy, and one that's further improved after the initial update, which we'll discuss shortly. On the radio mode screen, the FM radio option can be turned on, and the radio knob can be rotated upward or downward until a click is felt in either endpoint to scan for real-life local FM radio frequencies. If a frequency signal is strong enough, the FM radio will then lock onto the frequency and play that radio broadcast. The Pip-Boy uses the USB-C dongle as the radio antenna, and plugging in a USB cable into the charging dongle will increase the radio's ability to tune into weaker signals. You'll also find the KPSS station listed should you want to listen to fiddling broadcasts as experienced in the Fallout Prime show. The radio dial also makes its function that much more immersive as it illuminates with its operation when the FM radio is turned on and off. When we first unpacked the Pip-Boy from its box, we found a screen protector loosely sitting across the screen with information to update the Pip-Boy software. The operation manual also discloses this information in its own section, and that periodic updates may be a thing. So it will be exciting to see what more this Pip-Boy may offer in the future. For now, I recommend using the cable provided to plug the Pip-Boy into your PC via the USB-C dongle and to navigate to the web address provided. Once there, you'll be able to connect your Pip-Boy and see what new features this update provides. This first patch includes UI enhancements like a CRT turning off effect, an added text transmission effect in the About and Apparel screens, optional personalization to show your username in boot up animation sequence, Vault assignment notices, About screen, and sleep mode indication screens. And lastly, fixes to various bugs and display glitches. In addition to these, it also included FM radio enhancements like added FM radio as an option for the alarm sounds, improved FM signal reception and sound quality, and radio on and off and tuning functions accessible in all modes. I don't know how many updates are in store for this Pip-Boy or what those updates may include, but it would be amazing to see some form of Bluetooth connectivity or a method to connect your cell phone, to upload your own audio files, or maybe even a real working map function. But of course, some of these things may not just be software and may involve hardware changes depending on what's hidden on this device. Of course, this is all wishful thinking, but hey, what would you wish to see in future updates? So how does the 3000 Mk5 hold up against the other released Pip-Boy models? Some of these are just my personal takes, and you may or may not agree, and that's okay. But let's take a look. We won't spend any time looking at the 2000 family line because this Pip-Boy is part of the 3000 model line. And to avoid any confusion here, there are two previous releases of the 3000 models that we can quickly go over. The first one was available during the Fallout 4 release and sold as the Collector's Edition, which came in a large plastic Vault-Tec crate. I ended up buying a second crate on eBay to turn into a PC, but let's not get off topic here. This is the one that is just a hollow plastic shell designed to internally hold your cell phone, which also had an app available at that time to download from the Apple or Android marketplace, which would mimic a Pip-Boy and connect to your Fallout 4 game to control certain options of the game. The second was the more rare standalone Bluetooth Deluxe Edition, which sold in a metal tin box fashioned in the style of a large ammo box and was made by ThinkGeek. This one did not hold your phone and did not connect to your games, but could be connected to your cell phone via Bluetooth as a glorified smartwatch, and was used to play music, display text message alerts, and maybe one or two other things. The Bluetooth Deluxe Edition would be the closest comparison to the Diecast Mark V only for the fact that both are functional standalones. The Collector's Edition and Bluetooth Deluxe Edition are pretty much the same exact size, which is probably the most obvious difference here with the Diecast Mk5. But this was an expected detail as it was part of the early information that was made available, and not to mention that it could also be seen in the Fallout Prime series. Personally, I was a little put off by this fact, and even though it wasn't something that actually caught my attention while watching the show, admittedly upon receiving the Pip-Boy it didn't actually bother me at all. In fact, I actually love its size. The smaller screen does a great job of visually relaying all its animations and information. It's also both visually and physically comfortable without being largely clunky, obtrusive, or goofier looking on your arm than both previous 3000 and even 2000 models. It's a much more natural feeling device, and I believe does a better job of immersively pulling you into the Fallout universe without being overly cartoony. While the metallic style of the Pip-Boy is rather nice, it is still rather flat with its overall silver paint. The only thing that breaks that up is the distressed dirty wash. The previous 3000 models didn't have that much more to offer here, but there was at least a little bit of variation here and there with the screen bezel and the minor details with various trims and labeling that would grab your eye to different points. Aside from the paint, it's also noticeable that the speaker grills on either side of the screen have been removed, as it was opted to hide the speaker on this model. Personally, I like the grills for the speaker as it made it look more interesting and took it away from being too plain. But of course, the appearance is something that you can change with paint, and I'm sure that the modding community is going to have a blast painting this thing in many different themes. Another interesting design choice here is the relocation of the select button. Instead of having its own dedicated button next to the selector wheel as it once did on the previous models, this function has now been incorporated into the dial on the left-hand side. And as a device designed to be worn on your left arm and be operated by your right hand, having to reach across to the opposite side of the device makes it now feel a bit awkward. This may not have been a favorable change in my opinion. This one, for me, is a big one. Probably one of the saddest discoveries, as it's one of my most favorite features, the Holotape Deck. Holotapes are such a fun thing to discover in-game, and an interesting item in the Fallout universe. Unfortunately, it's a feature that has not been incorporated into this model. We know it was considered, but the wand company just couldn't fit a whole holotape deck in due to the sheer size of this Pip-Boy. And though I personally haven't done or looked at a teardown of the device yet, I do wonder if it was even possible to incorporate a smaller half or even a 1/4 style pop-up deck port to still make that even possible. In the Bluetooth Deluxe model, you'll find a micro USB port behind the foam padding that could be used to access the board on the Pip-Boy. On the Diecast model, it was surprising to see an entire panel that could be opened to access the Pip-Boy's battery. With connectivity immersively happening through the USB-C dongle, I actually rather like that the wand company provided such simple access to the power supply should it need to be easily swapped. Nothing in life is perfect, right? We saw this with the release of the Bluetooth Deluxe Edition and the plague of issues it had. Sadly, the same goes for the Diecast model. Luckily, the issues I found are quite minor in comparison. Something I found, which may only be in my case, is with the hinge. On one side, it looks like part of the paneling wasn't assembled with care, or incorrectly, and it appears to be improperly seated with its lifted appearance. While there doesn't appear to be any operational or auditory impact to the hinge, it's still rather visually off-putting. It didn't take long into fiddling with the Pip-Boy to discover that the USB-C dongle didn't fit nicely or rather securely into its recess. It sits rather loose, with plenty of potential to fall out frequently if being worn as a cosplay prop or what have you. I've discovered that I'm not alone here though, as some have simply resolved this with small butterfly band-aids or magnets. I'll just use a small thin strip of automotive insulation I have in the old rollaway tool chest. Still, it would have been nice to see this have been designed with a little bit more care with some type of magnet, snap, or locking method to keep the dongle securely in place. Not a major issue, but I also have seen a small lit pixel at the bottom of the screen during boot up. Probably something that can be fixed with the next update patch, but I'm curious if anyone else is seeing the same with theirs. And lastly, but also minor, is the correlation between physical buttons and the on-screen settings. It would be really awesome to see those things be connected more so than how they are right now. For example, if I were to change the volume button, I wish to see the actual volume setting on screen change, but this may easily be fixed in a future patch, and hopefully it does because it'll just make the device just that much better. There really isn't much more that can be said here. This was a rather interesting look into the new addition in the Pip-Boy family. The Pip-Boy 3000 Mk5 Diecast Replica, as seen in the Fallout Amazon Prime show and made by the wand company, is a surprisingly fun and amazing little device that is exceptionally crafted. For me personally, it was worth purchasing, and I'm excited to see what further updates will add as the wand company releases them. They did such an amazing job. For now, please continue to enjoy this final clip of the many screens currently available on the Pip-Boy after this message. Hey there, Wastelander. If you'd like to check out more of my Fallout content, head on over to the CapitalWastelandTravelGuide.com website. Once there, you'll be able to find more information about the Capital Wasteland Travel Guide, episodes for the series, as well as my connections to various socials, charity fundraisers with Fallout for Hope, other DomQuantum side stories, projects, and lots of other things like the DomQuantum merch store. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.
Hey yo, this is DJ Carl at KPSS, broadcasting from the base of the once beautiful Hollywood Hills. Like most weeks here at KPSS, this week is